Hello, everybody. It's 2 o'clock and we're going to give everybody a couple of minutes before we get started so others can join us.
Good afternoon, Wendy.
Hi, Chris, or Gary. I don't know why I called you Chris, because it says Chris.
Yeah.
Across Chris's screen, you know, good times, right?
Right.
How is everybody today?
It's a Monday, Wendy.
You have no idea, Pamela, how hectic my Monday has been. Whew. It's way past a Monday for me. I just promise you guys. I have this set up where I have to admit people. I think I need to change that as we move forward. So you guys might get another change from me because I'm like, no, this is too much.
You can do it here, Wendy.
What's that?
You can do it here. If you go into the participants panel, and then down at the bottom, there should be like 3 little dots. And you can, there should be like a enabled waiting room checked, and you can uncheck that.
It's not. Nope, it's not even checked.
Well, then you just set up funny, that's all.
I'm just set up funny. That's awesome. I didn't even know I did that, but apparently I did. Oh, and my camera's black. I don't even, hello. There I am. Hi, everybody. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to share a couple of things with you. First of all, I made this nice little presentation thing that says your phones and computers are automatically muted when you come in. When you're talking, after you're done talking, please remute yourself so we can try to eliminate the background noise. But please feel free to unmute yourself and ask questions. So this is supposed to be interactive, and I know you guys have a lot of questions moving forward. So I'm here to ask or answer as many as you have. This, and Donna's not here, so I'm going to try to monitor the chat as well. This walkthrough is specific to managing an individual, creating an individual, and assisting an individual. So if you have questions on those 3 categories as we move forward, great, let's ask them. If you have questions about other categories as we move into those, you know, those trainings will come up. For example, like the adult ed application, which is the next one in the series. And then speaking the next one in the series. So here's the schedule. I've sent it out quite a few times, but here it is one more time, just in case. So I'm gonna minimize my little talking thing. The next one in the series will be the adult education enrollment and creating service, and then case notes and so on and so forth. So Donna and I figured this is the best way to tackle these. It's going to take a little bit, like a month and some change, but at least we're going to go in depth for each and every one of them. So I'm going to stop sharing that, see if there's any questions, if I have to admit anybody, which apparently I don't, so that's good. And then let's go on to what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, and I'm in the training environment. And as you guys know, the training environment is open. So I can't put a new application in our system because then it hunkers down our system, right? So then it's going to put somebody in there that shouldn't be in there. So it has to go into the training environment. So bear with me during these trainings. But let me share my screen. And let's get started. Not seeing any questions yet, so that's good. So I don't even know if you guys see this part of the screen when you log in, but you know, there's a difference between grantee staff and DOL staff. You guys do grantee, I do DOL, but we're going to log in as a staff in the training environment. You guys know that by now. And the training environment takes longer, by the way. And this is my training number, so we're just going to move ahead with that. And so the first thing you're going to see is your platform, and we're going to talk about the platform and all that good stuff. We moved that all the way to the end, just in case you guys need that, but we felt that these were way more pressing matters than how to set up your front page. So I apologize if it takes a bit of time to get to go through these parts and you really want to set up your front page, but we'll get there in about a month. So again, spinning. It does not take this long in VOS. If you're taking this long in VOS, you need to let us know, because the training environment definitely is a lot slower, we have found. Okay, while we're waiting, is there any questions so far? Just logging in questions or no? Okay, cool. So we're going forward. Okay, so when we're managing an individual or looking for an individual, it is right down here in our services for workforce staff, and it's this very first tab. This is where we create, assist, and manage individuals. Those are really like the key to the kingdom, so to speak. You do not want to go straight to creating an individual, ever. You want to assist an individual first. The reason being is because when we joined this platform, when we came over into this platform, we did not come over by ourselves. We came over with Alexis. We came over with the other titles of VOS, so Title I, both youth and adult and dislocated worker. And we came over with some other platforms as well. So the chances of you finding the person that you want is going to be in there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to assist an individual, and that's going to take me, and I should have did that while I was talking, that's going to take me to my assist and my search features. And there's a couple of different ways that I can search. I've got this set up to view my 25 most recent individuals that I've worked with. And if you guys, anybody knows me, you know that I'm a Disney fan, so you're gonna see a bunch of Disney names, and that's just the way that I do my usernames and passwords and stuff for this, because I think it's a fun way to do the training. So these are the 25 most, and you can see I haven't done 25 in the training environment, but the ones that I have looked at or assisted with the most, and you'll find them on my list. If I haven't assisted them or never seen them before, there's a couple of different ways that I can look them up. The first one is, you know, if they know their username from Alexis, not from us, from Alexis, you can look them up by their username. Say that their username in Alexis was, I don't know, Candy Crush, and that's what they chose to do. You can use that Candy Crush and see if that person is in there and see if you can find them that way. It doesn't mean you're going to find them, but it is a quick way to try to see if you can find the username. You can also look up them by first, last name, full social, or last four of social. These are going to give you your best search for the student. And then down here, if you know, I'm going to go fast down here and I apologize. If you are looking up our application and you know our application number, you can look it up here and put it in, and I'm just going to randomly put in some numbers. And yeah, because I typed in something. As soon as you put in those numbers, it's going to say what program type. You would choose AE2 or Title II, Adult Education and Literacy, the AED, and then you can search from there, and it's going to try to find this application number, and I doubt it's going to find it. It's going to come up no. And it's searching for that, and it's going to link it to the person you're trying to find. Pam, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and ask a question. Pam? Okay. I'm gonna, if you have a question, just unmute yourself and fire away. I did not find my application number, so I'm gonna go back to new search criteria, and I'm gonna try to modify the search and find my individual. So I'm gonna look for my person and see if she is in there. Let's go. I can't type today, I'm sorry. So you can't just hit enter. You have to actually physically go to the chat or to the search bar either at the top, or you have to go to the search bar at the bottom to click search, and it's going to take a second to search for that. And in the meantime, let's go to the chat. Or not. I think I'm frozen. Am I frozen? No? Okay, somebody who's really good at Zoom, unmute yourself and tell me why I can't see the chat. Okay, hang on. I'm going to stop sharing because for some reason I'm okay. Okay, now try to unmute yourself. There we go.
Thank you, Wendy. So my question to you was, when we are searching somebody, the old state database assigned a number.
Mm-hmm.
So like we refer by students by, 1659, student ID 1569 called and left a message.
Yep.
We noticed that those numbers are irrelevant now. Is that correct?
They're not. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you. So they, when we converted over, they put this they put this adult education student ID number on here for us. So 1659 would now be the AE student ID number. So you can search there. The problem with that, if I'm not mistaken, the old student ID gave them one number. And that was their number for life, sort of. We found several duplicates. That's the old adult ed student ID number that came over into the system. That's where that would be located. Was that the only question? I got the chat to pop up and then it went away again. I apologize.
I have a question, Amy. Wendy, sorry.
Yes, no problem, Linda.
Okay, all right. So I see that you have 25 individuals that you were able to assist. I would love to have that many. I only get 5 at a time.
Yeah,
and so it's always the last 5.
It defaults to 5. And one of the things that we'll go through in the very last training is how to make that more or less. But I didn't want to bog it down right now because we wanted just to focus on that. But that's on the last training, is how to set that up and really kind of focus on the logistics of that front page and any resources for this system.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you.
Yep, definitely. Okay, any other questions? Okay, so I didn't find my person. So if you find your person, please do not put them in again, because we don't want to have duplicates in this system like we didn't in adult ed when we had them. You know, when you found them, you gave that information to Donna prior, and then she would fix it. It's the same way this way. If you find them that there are more than one in there, you're going to give that information to Donna and she's going to fix it again. But what you really want to do is you want to search first. I didn't find my person, so I'm going to go back, and this is the big part of managing that person, that quick assist in trying to find them. So that's the first steps to managing them. Any questions on this before we move on? Okay, there's several ways that you can manage them. Like I said, if you have that AE student ID number, you can start there. First, last name, social. You can try a date of birth. You can start there and search them that way. You can search them by phone number and see if that's a way that you can do it. Email address. What if you don't know if their name is Alex or Alexander and you don't know if they're spelling it wrong, or you know, that kind of thing? You can always search by birthday. If you search by birthday, you're going to get a whole lot, by the way. So be very careful with that, because you'd be surprised how many people have the same birthday. The registration IP and login IP, just ignore that. Those are really, I've never even used those. And then there's more. If you go down, you can search, and there are so many search options. Find which one is comfortable for you and use it. That's my biggest tip for you, is find what's comfortable for you. Because if you keep going, you can search by assigned LAWIA one stop. Does anybody know what the LAWIA one stop is at this point?
That would be our job centers.
That's your job centers, yes. And do you have to have a LAWIA one stop in your applications?
I'm gonna go with yes.
Yay, who answered that?
That would be Pamela.
Pamela! Yay, she gets a gold star for today. Yes, you do. So you can search by Southeast or Interior, or you can even do a VOS statewide grant contractor, which is not you, by the way. That is different because you guys are part of the WIOA, and so you have to be attached to a one-stop, which you are through that partnership. You can search by somebody's address, by characteristics. If you wanted to search by their age, their disability, whether they had education levels, there are all different kinds of ways that you can search in here. Find what's comfortable for you. For me,
let me ask,
yeah.
Could we search by educational level and come out with a list of all of our personal clients that are at that level?
So I have a couple of them in here that I have done. Okay, so let's look. So I want to search by educational level, and I want to say that I have several of them in here that have where's the one? I'm going to go down. Sorry. I'm trying to find it.
So when it says second grade completed, that's based on their application with us.
No, This is based on, this is not ours. This is theirs. We are in their application now. So when we manage somebody, when we look for them, when we search them, we are searching in their application. We are not searching in ours. This is not ours.
So they would have had to put that they completed the 9th grade.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But you can go through here and you can find a way to search. If I wanted, I think I have a bunch that I put 11th grade, but if I wanted to search everybody in the system, and this is everybody in the system who completed 11th grade. Now you're searching everybody. You can narrow it down from there and you can say everybody in your LOIA. You can say everybody who has a last name of Jones. But see, this is people that are in my area.
I thought you had said previously that we would no longer see all students. We would only
You're not seeing students. At this point, you're not seeing students, you're seeing individuals. Okay, so you need to think of it this way. You have to have a key to enter the house, right? This is your key to enter your house. Once you get into your house, you're going to go to separate rooms and you're going to fill out the application in that room. So AE has its own room. Workforce adult and dislocated worker have their own room. Youth have their own room, and you can't see what's in their room. And so no may be on the first floor. Hang on. No may be on the first floor. Anchorage may be on the second floor. You're not going to be able to see anything on the second floor. But this is individuals. You can see the individuals and get to their stuff in order to get them qualified for you.
Okay, so in this website, anybody who is in this database, we can see.
Yes.
When we search for them. So once we find them, then we put them in our room or our house.
In your house, in your room, in your house.
In your room. Okay, on my floor in my room. Okay.
Right. Right now they're in your, they're coming through your door to your house, and then it's going to be your job to put them in the room that they belong in. Does that make sense? Right now, this is anybody, any individual who has an account through Alexis. That's where you're getting this information.
So if they don't have an account with Alexis and they were in our state database, they still should be in here, right?
Yes, because it came through our system. But so yes, it picked our system out and we have the application, but it will not have. So let's go back to the analogy. It's in our room, but they didn't have the keys to the house. So that's the students that have to go back and get keys made. Does that make sense? I'm just going to confuse you there.
Yeah, so they're not in the system, basically.
They are in the system. Hang on. They are in the system because we have put them in the system, and we have a way of putting them in the system, and we can continue to serve them. Okay, we can continue to put in our program stuff. They're in our rooms. We can continue to put our stuff in. They don't have the keys to get into the house, though. As an individual, they don't have the keys. Okay.
Okay. So they're not in the overall system, but they're in our personal room.
There you go.
Okay.
So Wendy, this is Sarah. I just have a question about that then. So if we're talking about the idea that our students are in charge of their own applications, but they don't have a key to the house, how do we get them to the room so they can do what they need to do with their applications?
Okay, so you got to think of our students as two different, so there's two different ways, right? They have a personal application or personal profile that they put in that is what we're seeing now. So this is all their personal information. Then we go in and we put in the application. So when we came over from conversion, we brought our students over, and so some of our students are not going to mash up, and they're not going to have a personal, they're just going to have an application. So they're only going to have one. Those are the students, we've got our stuff in there, and we're just going to keep going because they have the information that we need. We're going to keep modifying it and going on with that student. Student 1, okay, we're going to call him Bob. Bob came to us. He had an old application. We brought him over into the student. He has never been through Alexis. So he did not have a resume. He did not have a profile. He only has adult education. He is only in our room. But he has program information. So we're going to continue to work with him. And we're going to continue to build with him. We're going to continue to go off of our testing, all the stuff we need to do with Bob. Put him in our classes, give him everything we need to do with adult ed. He doesn't have an individual application. It's our job to encourage that, because ultimately our job is to help them transition into employment or post-secondary ed. And in order to transition into employment, Alexis holds the biggest job bank, right? So why wouldn't we help them with that and help them transition into building their own profile that can then mash up with ours? Student 2 comes in, and we did not see them in the old database. They're a brand new student. We don't have an application for them. They come in, we search them, we can't find them. It's now our job to go back and have them create an application, because we're not going to be able to serve them if we don't. We can't put an application into nothing.
Okay, so basically we have returning students who are already in the database.
Yep.
And we've got new students that are going to start at the front door that are going to get the key, and then we'll, okay. All right, that helps. Thanks.
Okay.
Hold on, Wendy. I got another question to do
Okay.
with that. For those of us who are close to the public, you know, we're working online and we're working via telephone and all of that. So we still service them, whether they're in our system or not, and we'll just have to deal with getting them in our system when we can. And that, you know, there's always that, because if we send them the application via snail mail and we're doing this and that, we're still servicing them, but just things are a lot slower. So you know, we do, once we get that application back, I know we can assist the student.
So,
but, okay, I'll just leave it at that.
No. I'm trying to think of what you're asking. Can you assist to getting them in? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, you've already kind of told us that we can assist getting them in. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, just because they're not in our system doesn't mean that we're not assisting them. Like, we have students that are working on homework that don't have access, who haven't returned our application, but they've been with us for a long time, and they'll call us up and ask us for help on homework. And we're not going to turn them away because they haven't got their application done yet.
Right.
So we're still servicing. I guess that was just my point. Sorry, I'll be quiet.
Right. I understand that. And it's going to be hard, and it's going to be tough to get some of these students to get this stuff back. But ultimately, our grant is, that's part of the grant, is getting them into this system so that we can federally report them. Does that help?
a person can assist them in filling out the application, is there just a portion where like they need to sign it that is needed back?
No, not anymore. That's up to your program, Michelle, on whether your program requires that you have participants sign it or not. So there's two ways that you can do the application. You can take the application with, so we'll get into that when we go into application on Friday, but you do not have to have the application signed anymore. Unless it's a program call. Okay.
Unless it's a what? What was
It's
that
a
last
program call. Unless it's a program call and the program says, hey, I want all applications signed. If it's a program call, Linda, if you make that call and you say, I want all applications signed, then that is a program call. Remember that you guys can be more restrictive. So I can be more restrictive than the federal government. You guys can be more restrictive than my guidance. You can't be less restrictive.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going back to assisting an individual. And I'm going back to that search feature. Does anybody need to know again how we got to the search feature or see any other parts of the search feature before we move on? Okay. So you have a student, you did a quick search, you can't find them. Please remember that what you're about to see belongs to the student. This part of helping them create an application or helping them create, creating this part is theirs. So either they need to take ownership of it, or if you have a student that's out in the village or in DOC and you're helping them create it, or the person has significant barriers, like they speak very little or zero English and you need to help them with that, I understand there's going to be a student out there that you're going to need to assist. And that's why this button is there. That's why in the Manage Individuals, you can create an individual. However, when you're creating an individual, you need to realize that you're creating their profile. They need to have ownership of it and they need to be answering the questions. Please don't have them fill out the application and then you go back and you create their profile, because it's theirs. If they get into Alaska Jobs later, they need to know what you set up as their username. They need to know that what they put down for the occupation that they are searching for. Some of these questions are going to transfer right into our application, and you'll see that on Friday. Some of these questions are going to transfer into Title I. Some of these questions are going to transfer into Title III. Some of these questions have nothing to do with us, but it is part of job search, and so the individual needs to answer them. This is the individual's registration. This is not ours. So you can help them with it, but please be mindful that it is their registration. So if they tell you a question or an answer and you know it to be false, they have to take ownership of that. You can tell them, you know, I highly suggest that, you know, employers are going to see this. This is the big one. Employers are going to see this. And so you might want to pick a username or an email account that is professional, because some of the usernames and emails that we've seen are not. But ultimately, what they put is on them.
Right? Like happy pot smoker. I had one who did that the other. I said, we need to change your email address.
Working in the job center, you would be surprised what I saw. And so some of them, we were like, oh, we should really think about changing these ones. And they were like, no, I really want them. So yeah. So there's two ways you can go. There's two ways that this is exactly what the individual sees when they are creating their registration. They have a comprehensive registration, and then they have a registration with a resume. The registration with the resume is going to take them into the resume, and it's going to help guide them into creating a resume. My suggestion, if you're working with a student on a resume class, great. Take them that way and teach them how to properly write a resume, or that writing component, perfect. That job skills, great, do it. If you're working with anybody else and you're just trying to get the registration in, always do the comprehensive registration. It's quicker, it's yes, no questions, except for like the address and name and stuff. It's yes, no questions, it's radio buttons, and then you're on to the next one. So it's a lot faster. I'm gonna do a comprehensive registration. And I have found I can do these in about, well, not on the training site because it takes longer. I can do a comprehensive registration because we've trained with these so much in about 5 minutes. It doesn't take that long. So because I'm used to these now. So my username, let's try Captain Marvel. That might be too long. It might tell me that it's too long. I'm gonna leave the password. Oh, it's letting me do it. So you're gonna get to the social security number, put their social security number. For training's sake, I'm gonna write that I don't wanna do it. It's gonna tell me I can't apply for UI. I'm okay with that for the training. If somebody puts that they do not wish to provide their social security number, and then you get to the part where you're in our application and you have their social security number, remember it's one of the data points that we use to do tracking, and we use to look for their second and fourth quarter medium earnings and all that good information. So we do want to try to collect their social. If you find that they're not matching up, what do? Anybody?
Ask to see their social security card.
But you know it, but they've put do not, if they check that they do not provide social security number, it's just going to randomly assign them a number. But you have their social security number, it's not matching up. What do you do with that? Because you can't change it.
Let Donna know.
Let Donna know. Donna can change it. Okay, so country, US, 99801, so Juneau. So this button right here, we've gotten into this one a couple of times. Are you authorized to work in the United States? I know that we have a couple out there that are not because we're in education. So if you find that it's no, it's going to tell you that you cannot move on in this system. You can't continue the registration. Remember, this is the person's application too. So we can't define what they pick, but if they are not authorized to work in the United States, you need to track them a different way until we get this fixed. We're in the middle of trying to negotiate this right now and figure out how this is going to work. So right now it has to be a yes. We're trying to work on how that's going to affect everything if it turns out that it's a yes, no, or what this might look like. So just be aware that we're working on that. Okay, as we discussed, your LOEA is the job center that's near you. This should default to the zip code and where you're at in the office. Has anybody not found that it's defaulting to your office? Cool. And then under that, you're going to pick the office that is closest to that person. And then enter their email address. And again, this is where you have the conversation that it might not be an appropriate email address, but that's okay. Not a Cree. Does anybody know Marvel?
Blue Abby Dabby.
Somebody out there. Not Cree. I can't type, sorry. At mail.com. Okay. And then you're gonna put in a date of birth. Let's go 02/05/2000. We're gonna make them pretty young. Are they male or female? They can be female, they can be male. If you select male, just so you know, it's gonna say, have you registered for Selective Service? It has to be yes or no. This does not show up on our application. This is not a question that is gonna come over for us. This is a question for WIOA Title I, but we know that currently Captain Marvel is female. And
hey, Wendy, just for my sake, let's say that it is a male and they have not. Should we assist them in registering and then hit yes?
You can. You don't have to. You can. I mean, that's up to you. And if you don't see this part of the website, then you may not. You may not see this part at all because you may come in at the registration part, right? But if you're doing this with somebody, they're a male, they're 20 years old, haven't registered, you might want to talk to them about what Selective Service is because they may not know. So yeah, and it goes right to the Selective Service website if you need it. Convicted of a crime, yes or no? And I do not wish to answer is on there as well. Oh, did you see the male, female, I do not wish to answer? In adult ed world, in every other world, I do not wish to answer is a valid response. In adult ed, you'll see on Friday, it's not a valid response. You have to change it. And I'll do that in just a minute so that we can use this one on Friday. First name. Danvers. That's it to that screen. And then you move on. Are you homeless? Yes or no? It automatically defaults to no. 1995 Star Force Lane. We've already put in the zip code so it knows we're in Juneau. Is your mailing address the same or is it different? Click the thing, it'll come up that's the same, automatically puts that in there for you. So it says this is not a standardized mailing address. What it's doing is it's searching the records for the post office. And if it's coming up that this isn't an actual mailing address, it's saying, hey, this is not a mailing address. You can still continue, it's just forewarning you. And since I made this up, then that figures. Did I not click next? Apparently I did not. Next is phone number, 907-999-4125. No extension, it's going to be a voice phone, but it could be TTY, it could be voice and TTY, it could be a video phone, could be any of those. Click next.
What is TTY?
TTY is stands for telephone. TTY. I'll think of it in a second. But it's you put the phone on a machine and then you can text. Basically, it's the old texting way of working with somebody who is deaf, who can't hear a phone. Very slow. Okay, one question. Preferred method of contact, email. Next. Are you a citizen of the United States? Okay, so here's the second question that the individual comes across, not us, the individual. What is their citizenship? If they write none of the above, you're going to get that prompt again that says, hey, you can't register. It won't let you go forward. But if they're a citizen, if they're a U.S. permanent resident, or if they're an alien or refugee, you can answer one of these ones. Again, this is one of those ones that we're talking about. How do we move forward with this?
So let's just say that somebody is here illegally and they're trying to get our assistance.
Mm-hmm.
Our grants say that anybody living in the region gets our assistance. It doesn't say they have to be U.S. citizens.
Right.
So if we can't register them through here, I'm sure we'll contact you and let you know or whatever. Yep. But we still assist them.
Yep. Absolutely. Keep track of them a different way. Keep track of their hours, their assessments, and everything. Just don't put them in the system yet because we're trying to get this one figured out. But absolutely help them. Because education, we don't ask these questions. This is the workforce component of it. Do you have a disability? Yes, no. I do not wish to answer. This one's perfectly valid. You can say, I do not wish to answer. Highest level of education. So here's the one that you can answer the 12th grade and I didn't receive a diploma. Or they can. Then, are you attending school at the moment? Nope, I'm not. 2 questions and then they can move on. Employment status, working, not working. Let's go not working. Unemployment, are they a claimant or are they not a claimant? A claimant means somebody who is getting UI. Are they getting UI? Are they not getting UI? Have they exhausted their UI? Nah, neither. Are they looking for work? Yes, no, sure. This one does not have to be answered. It doesn't have a star. But let's put that there, no. And then farm workers. Farm workers in the last 12 months. Nah. And This one is only specific to them. It doesn't come over into ours. Is that desired job? Okay, give me a desired job. Anybody?
Architect.
Oh, it's not, there it goes. So it comes up with a list. So if they start spelling it, they could say architect, sure. Then down here, it's usually starts suggesting, there it goes. It's gonna suggest, hey, we have all of these different jobs in architects. So we're gonna go, oh, let's be a database architect. That's what I wanna do. Hispanic or Latino, I'm gonna put information not provided. And then race, I'm gonna put I do not wish to answer so that you can see how these play off of each other when we get to the AE application. Language, do you have limited proficiency? Yes or no? I'm gonna put no. Oh, I should have put yes on that one. Let me go back. Has anybody played around with this one? Limited English proficiency. If you put yes, and this might be one that you guys see often, it's going to bring all of these up. Primary language, it gives you a whole bunch. There is a ton of them in there, including our native languages and apparently 2 others, which I just saw it says other and other. Interesting. So we worked really hard with you guys to make sure that all of the languages were in there. So if you find that we're missing one that you guys use a lot, you need to let us know and we will change it. We're gonna put ASL. How well do you speak that language? Very well. Do you require assistance? Sure. How well do you speak English?
Why is that option there?
What's that?
Why is that? How well do you speak that language there?
Because it's just a question that they have to ask on one of the applications, and I'm not sure which one, but you know, it's one of those questions that is really wonky. So you might have a primary language that is, maybe it's English, but doesn't mean that you speak it really well, right?
Mm.
Is there a way we can get the primary languages in alphabetical order? I keep on getting hung up on that. Like some of them are in alphabetical order and some of them aren't.
I can put it on my list.
Thank you.
Let me see what I can do, Teresa.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna push next. Currently in the military, I'm gonna push no, because if you push yes, it brings up a whole bunch of other questions. These 4 questions are required questions from the Pearl. So, and the individual has to answer them. So there's individual questions from the Pearl that have to be answered by the individual. Then there's adult education questions from the Pearl that have to be answered by us, right? Our Pearl goes into the NRS tables. These are the questions that the individual has to answer. Okay, receiving TANF? No. SNAP or food stamps? A general assistance, any other assistance that doesn't fall into these very specific ones. Sometimes, what I've just learned, sometimes the governor will get additional funds. He will put it forth into an assistance pot, like COVID assistance, and that becomes a general assistance. Who knew? I didn't until very recently. refugee payments, and then support through foster care. And then if you answer no to any of these, it's going to bring up the household information, which is low income. If you answer yes, it leaves it blank because it automatically is puts you as low income. I'm going to put I do not wish to answer. And then that's it. That's it and finished. That's helping somebody with a comprehensive. And then I can go back and I can see it. Okay, so are there any questions going forward with this one? Okay. The one thing that I wanted to get through to you guys, or the one thing that I wanted you guys to know in going through this part and going through this part first, is this is for the individual and they have to have ownership of this, and that our questions can be the same, but they can be different. So you might see something on the individual registration that you may not see on adult ed or vice versa, and that's okay. And so if you're helping somebody with their individual registration, for instance, the selective service, and you're not seeing it on the adult ed application, that's fine. We don't have to collect that data. The one that's on the adult ed application that we'll go over on Friday are the data points that we have to make it a person eligible. This is the questions that a person has to answer for the individual pearl that the federal government says, hey, a person has to answer these ones. Does that make sense? Any questions? Okay. Once I find that person and get that person in, you can see I'm currently managing them. They're right there. And if I go to assistant individual now, that person is in my list. She's there. And I can also search her. And she should pop up. Slowly, but surely. There she is. So now she's in the system. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, questions? Okay, I'm going to finish the recording and get it put out on the website. Donna is working on a new website that will have professional development and training only. So this will go on that website. And along with all the other ones in the series. So thank you guys all for joining me. And if I hear no more questions, then I'm going to give you back 1 minute of your life back.
Thank you, Wendy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Wendy.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you for taking the time, Wendy. I appreciate it.
Of course.